Hello everyone, in today's session we're going to be building a code explainer, and what this does is that it helps you explain your code base or your code. You could put in your code into it and it will explain it for you, whatever is going on in that code base, and it can also fetch out bugs for you. So this is an AI application we're building right now, and then in order to get started, we'll design the entire application using Claude design, and then afterwards we'll move on to development of the application using Claude Code. So let's start with the design of the application. So in here I'll open a new window here on my browser, and then I'll go to Claude design, Claude AI/design. So this is the design aspect of Claude, and what this does is that it can help us to design the application we want to build right now. So let's get the design started, and then so I'll name my project name Code Explainer, and then I'll create it as a default design system. So let me now describe exactly how I want my designs to be. So in this situation here, I have to be more specific on the prompting, what kind of prompting I am giving to Claude design in order for it to get this work done for me, in order for it to make sure that this design procedure is what accurate, not exactly accurate, however, to give me a very good depiction on a very good picture. So let me get started. So I'll tell you to design a single page web app called Explain This Code. It is a tool where someone pastes a code snippet and gets back plain English explanation, built for an audience watching a live coding. So for the design system here, to design the application itself, I actually generated this prompt from Claude itself, and then I'll also be providing you guys the prompts that I use to design this application. If I go to claude.ai, I'll show you exactly the design system I made use of. So my latest work coding session here, yes, so this is it right here. So this is for the design system whereby I made use of Claude to generate the prompt. So let me just copy all the prompts, and I'll also be providing the prompts for you guys. So let me send it to Claude design, and now it's already scrambling the design for us, and then with it we'll get our design from the output here. So let's wait a while, and then it gives us the output for this design, and now it has generated the design for us. Look at the design here, but there is a caveat with this design. It contains AI slop, a lot of AI slop. So what we'll tell Claude design is that, can you remove AI slop? Or instead of telling Claude design directly, we'll go back to Claude itself and then ask, how can I tell Claude design to remove AI slop from the design output? Yeah, and now it is going to give us on other prompts. Yeah, so this is it. So this is another prompt that he has given us now to give to Claude design. So let's copy these prompts and then let's drop it here, and it's going to improve the design, because looking at this design, it's very obvious that this design is AI generated design. Great. Finally, you can see that there is a lot of improvement, massive improvement in the generated outputs or the design. Let's collapse this section here. Let's try to look at everything. You can see the design output here is even better than the initial output that it gives to us. So now that we've made this design, let's ask Claude itself. So now that have the designs have been made, so let's build this in Claude Code. And can you give me a prompt that I can give to Claude Code to help with the development of this application? So now we're not asking Claude itself to give us a Claude Code prompt. So a Claude Code prompt. So this Claude Code prompt is assuming that we've got the design. So in this session, I'll show you how to extract design from Claude Design to Claude Code. Claude is going to do the job itself, so I'll show you how it's going to extract the design itself. So now I've got the prompts for Claude Code. Now I'll open a new folder. I'll create a new folder. Then click here, new, and then a folder, and I'll name it code. And now I'll open Claude Desktop here on my desktop here. In order to get Claude Desktop, you can just go online and search for Claude Desktop to install Claude Desktop. Yes, and you can also use other form of Claude Code, like from the command line interface using the CLI, and then so on and so forth. So in this session, we are using the Claude Desktop for this process. So let me get it running. Claude, yes, so it's currently loading now, and then we expect it to give us yes. We'll create a new session here, and then we'll open the folder we created, the code explainer folder, which we've created just now, and then we'll first of all extract the designs we made from Claude Design. Code explainer, select the folder. Yes, so we've got code explainer here, so let's select. Yes, so in the Claude Design, there's a share option here, and this share, you can share to Claude Code, hand off to Claude Code. So you click on the hand off to Claude Code here, copy this command, and then give to Claude Code here, and Claude Code will do the rest of the job. Yes, as simple as that. You can see here now, here I click on the share button in Claude Design, click on the share button in Claude Design, hand off to Claude Code, copy the command and paste the command here, Claude Code. So it's going to extract all the designs, and then we'll put in these prompts in here, the prompts we got in here for Claude Code to develop the application. So let's continue. Yeah, so Claude is asking for permission here, allow. And finally it has implemented it, so it has done from the Claude Design. It has extracted the entire design from Claude Design and then shipped it into Claude Code here. Look at the entire design has been shipped already for us. So the next step is that to copy the prompts for Claude Code. So let's copy it, yes, and then we paste it right here. So we choose the workspace and then we paste it. So what it's going to do is that it's going to make implementations based on the prompts we have given it right here, and also this design. So let's get our output. Now it's already starting to develop the project. He's writing it up, so he's writing this HTML right here and swapping it here for text area. He's hooking up Claude API, and he's also adding git ignore files here to save the API tokens that we're about to connect later on. So he's working on it at the moment, and once he's done, then we'll see the output for ourselves. Right now it has finished, and then it has concluded the development of this application. However, there is a caveat, and if you look at this caveat, he said open config.js and paste your Anthropic API key. This is a process that is not safe, in the sense that you are pasting your key, and then when you push this application into production, your application key will get in public, and then it will be unsafe. So in this kind of situation, we can make use of the security review. Security review is like a skill, or like a sub agent in Claude Code, and what it does is that it reviews the application you are building against any form of security threats or any form of vulnerability. So let's make use of security review, and let's get the report it's going to give to us before we try to conclude and then put in our Anthropic API key in config.js, because that is not safe. So let's wait and see for the results. Finally, I've run the security review, and after going through several failures in the security review, so instead of trying to run the security review like calling the tool itself, so you won't call the tool, instead you would give it more specific prompts, like the way I gave it here. Check for any vulnerability in the application, and then I ran the security review. So it ran the security review for us, and then it also talked about prompt injection, and then it also talked about this here, and it also talks about the API key fully exposed in the browser. So now we've got a lot of all these vulnerability reports here. We'll copy it, and then what we'll do is that we'll go back to Claude itself, that the application has got these vulnerability issues, and then we'll now ask like what should I tell Claude Code to improve on the application? Yes, so what should I tell Claude Code to improve on the application? So it's going to give us a prompt that will give to Claude Code to fix all of the vulnerability or security issues the application has. So copy it, so it's fixing the SSS, the stream output, CDN scripts, input size, everything else. Let's copy, and then we paste Claude Code, and then it does the work. So once it does the work, we get our results. So now it has fixed those vulnerability issues, and then now we'll ask it, how can we run the application? So in place of running this application, so we are asking it question of how can we run the application to know exactly if it is working or not. So right now you see it tells us there that we'll open config.js and paste the Anthropic key, and we now ask it that since we have set to paste the key into config.js, is that safe? Yes, so that's another question we ask, because in the vulnerability report here it talked about the API key fully exposed in the browser, and then those has been fixed here. So we're now confirming again to see if it is safe. It is safe in the local development, or if we are doing the local development, but it's not safe anywhere else. So what is protecting us in the local development is the git ignore. So git ignore is there in such a way that if you are pushing this application to GitHub, it's going to save the key, the Anthropic API key, from being pushed into GitHub, so our key will not get pushed. And then what could leak the key is the network panel browser extension. That is what could leak the key in this situation. And then in order to prevent the key from being leaked in this situation, you have to build the application even more advanced, like building it with more tools, the React, the Next.js, whereby we have an environment variable, we have a server-side code, client side code to connect with the API. So let's get our Anthropic API key, and in order to get that, you go to your browser and then you go to the platform Anthropic, search for it online, and then you sign platform, continue, you sign in, and then very simple as that. Yes, now I'm already in my Anthropic platform. You see here, my balance is very low. I need to get more funding for my Anthropic key. So now you go to the section here, get API key, and then you get yourself an API key, create an API key. So I'll create API key for our project Code Explainer. And then now, for the safety of the API key, I won't reveal it. So all you need to do is follow through this step and get your Anthropic API key. Now I've got my API key, I've created the API key, and I've got the API key. Now I'll come back to Claude itself, and then I'll open config.js file here to add the API key. So if I click on config.js file here, I'll be able to add the API key, and then let me paste it. Yes, so paste it. So in order to save myself from adding the security of the API key, so I'll be securing it. So you get your API key, copy and paste it in here, and then we check the application to see how it's working. Right now I've uploaded the API key in my config.js. You can also click on it and then to add your API key, and then the next thing is to test the application. So in order to test the application, we can even ask Claude Code itself to generate code snippets. So generate me a code snippet to test the application. Yes, and then it's going to give us a code snippet that we can copy here, and then we'll tell it to explain the code for us and then what is going wrong in the code. So let's wait for it to generate a code snippet for us. Right now Claude Code has given us a code sample, so let me copy the code sample here, and let me clear out this present sample here. Let me paste the code sample that we can use as a test, and then I'll click on the explain the code. Now we have got a bug. It says no API key found. Copy config.example.json. So I'll copy this error. It says no API key found, but I've already copied the API key already. So let me tell Claude I have got this error, however I have pasted the API key and saved it already. So now this is the process of debugging, because not every time everything does work like that, so you have to debug in the process. So in this system now, it's telling us to refresh the page. So let's refresh the page here. Let's clear out the existing code here. Let's paste this new code. We paste it and then click on explain. So it's still telling us the same error. It's giving the same error. Say if you are still on file, switch to a local server. So verify the key loaded. Now you can verify the key, and you can also check through the key. Make sure that you added the key in the right file. Add refresh. So right now we don't know exactly what's causing it. Config.js. Let's go back to our config.js files. Config.js. So it has got the Anthropic API key already. Now, for it not to be working, definitely there's something wrong. So you tell Claude that you have done add refresh and you have checked the config.js, but you are still getting this error. You copy the exact error and then you paste it into Claude right here to get the results. So let's see the output Claude will give to us. Yes, so it's telling us to open development to diagnose console tab, and then also diagnose doing everything. So instead of us going through the console tab ourselves, the network tab, we could also ask Claude Code, can you help me get this part done from your hand? So we don't even need to do anything. So we can just copy it, give it to Claude Code to even do it, check for us on our behalf. So let's leave it, and as it checks for us on our behalf till we get our final results, and then we test the application. Yes, allow. So Claude Code is inspecting right now. Yes, so right now Claude Code, we've given the task for Claude Code to check everything. So Claude Code has checked our config, he has checked the index.html file, he has checked no syntax issue, nothing. However, Claude Code has already spun up a new server for us. So if you click on this right now, it will take us to our browser, and so this is like a local server which is running on, and then we'll paste the code snippet from Claude Code. So let's go get the code sample, go to our browser, clear this example code, paste it, and then let's click on explaining code. So now look at it, it's already streaming real time. Now it's already explaining it line by line. Now the code explainer is now working as expected. See, first one, the gist, and what it says that this function tries to fetch data from a URL, and if something goes wrong, it automatically waits and try again up to a set number of times. Each time it fails, it waits twice as long before the next attempt. This waits longer each time strategy is called exponential backoff, and it also explains line by line, and what could go wrong in the process. Here you can see, so the code explainer is fully ready, and then I'll share with you the prompts I generated from Claude. I'll share it in the comments section or in the description of this video for you to get access to it, and then also develop the code explainer yourself using Claude. And that's it.